Guys, welcome back to some more AFK Arena. Today's video, we're going to be looking at the Draconic faction and creating the ultimate guide as it sits today. So thinking of the Draconic faction, the cost that it is to get heroes in there, summoning them, we want to look at the build that we're doing, also the priority, where they're being utilized, pretty much everything when it comes to this faction. And of course, starting off with our Highborn. Now, currently, we have three, that is right, three Highborn Draconic Heroes. We have Lan, we have Hildwyn, and we have Gwen. Looking right here, I already do have Gwen and I do have Hildwyn built. We also do have Lan, which again is built up a little bit. So thinking priority-wise, thinking tier list-wise as it sits today. So let's say, for instance, you were sitting on a couple hundred Draconic emblems. What exactly and who would you build? First priority out of here would be building out Lan. We know, of course, this is the most recent Highborn dragon that we had, or the Draconic hero, but Lan is used everywhere. When you look at the utility of this hero, pretty much every single game mode, which we're going to get into in a little bit, Lan is being used. She is being used everywhere. Now, following Lan, I would probably go in and build Hildwyn. Now, Hildwyn, of course, a pretty big priority. If you got a lot of free copies of him, definitely well worth it. Building out a couple of heroes, but Hildwyn, again, utility-wise, very, very high when it comes to a bunch of different formations. So thinking as it sits today, Lan would be the first, followed by Hildwyn. Then I would look at Gwen. Now, Gwen, of course, is one, not only one requires a very, very high investment, which we're going to cover to actually have the utility. If you do not have her all the way ascended +1 star, she doesn't work. She doesn't work without the engraving that we put on her, and we've seen that firsthand. I had her ascended. I had the 9 of 9 furniture. We had the 40 signature item. Still not seeing near really any. I think we were doing around 3 billion damage. All of a sudden, we add the 1 star in there. We do the engraving. Went from 3 billion damage to about 16 billion, which is kind of crazy. But that is the power that we have with the engraving. So out of those three, again, the Highborn Draconic Heroes, I would look at Lan, then Hildwyn, then Gwen for the sheer cost. Now, thinking of the basic heroes, this, of course, is looking at just the regular heroes, not the Highborn Draconic Heroes. Number one comes in with Nyla. Nyla is another one, a lot of different places. She is the best in slot, and I believe the iteration we have right now of the Cursed Realm and Nightmare Corridor, still coming in the best in slot, is a support hero, crowd control, but does a crazy amount of damage. This, of course, would be the first one for the regular Draconic Heroes that I would build, followed a very close second by Melion. Now, these are 2 of 4. So Nyla and Melion, again, are going to be your priority. But then when you look at the other two, which is Cassius, and then you also do have Paulina, both of them, I really wouldn't bother building. The only reason why players are getting them, and the only reason, really the only utility they have at all, is within the Dragonforge itself. There isn't another place that they're really being used. Kind of unfortunate, but yes, it is the only place that we're being used. So when you start thinking of bigger picture, when you start thinking of, again, the utility of these heroes, Lan being used pretty much everywhere. I don't know a place where Lan doesn't fit in a formation if you have her built. Followed by Hildwyn, again, used in a lot of formations. Very similar to Gavis, where he is a mage, is continuous damage, but plays a very, very big support role, similar to what we see with Gavis. A couple of our mage heroes do provide that support role. And then again, followed by Gwen. There are some places where Gwen is pretty good. There are some where Gwen is best in slot. And ultimately, if you don't have Gwen, you can actually go ahead and fill in a different hero. And then you get into Nyla. Again, Cursed Realm Nightmare Corridor does work very, very well in formations. Even looking at some of the Treasure Scramble formations, which is the same with Melion. So Melion, you have to think as a support hero, mainly is a buffer for the Draconic Heroes. So when you start thinking of Lan, Melion and Lan are used together a lot. Melion is used with Nyla quite a bit. Melion is also used with Gwen quite a bit because of the functionality and how this hero actually works, used in a lot of different places and used in conjunction with some of the Draconic Heroes, and also used with a couple that are not. We see Melion actually run with the Awakened version of Iran as of current. Also see it with the Awakened version of Leica and a couple other heroes in there, making it very well worthwhile. But how much do you invest in him? That's what we want to look at. So looking at Lan and basic build, where you want to get this hero built up to as a support hero is a 30960. So with a 30960, and I'll hop over to the portraits over here, you're looking at a +30 signature item. Now the signature item in here does make a big difference when it comes to Lan, when it comes to, of course, the buffing. Because if you look right here, the duration of the Cloud's duration, allied heroes gain attribute boost equivalent to 60% of the attack, 60% of the defense. Without the signature item, without having this hero up to Mythic, you are missing this in its entirety. Plus 30 signature item is really all that she needs. 9 of 9 furniture, again, is huge. If an allied hero's health is above 50%, damage increased by 75%. Massive, massive buff right in there. And then, of course, looking at the 30 and the 60, definitely want to build these out again because this is going to make a big difference when you're stacking up this effect. If a target has dispelled debuffs or buffs, each dispelled buff increase the potency of the additional damage inflicted by 150%, again, making you and allowing you to do a lot more damage in there. Now, Hildwyn is the exact same. So thinking of Hildwyn, it is a 30960 for the exact same reason. Again, the plus 40 signature item, not really required in here. Some of them, and especially looking here, it allows Hildwyn to do a little bit more damage. Overall, he doesn't do a lot of damage, but getting this to a 30, definitely well worth it. Same with the exclusive furniture, building this up to this, the 9 of 9 furniture, and then the 60 engraving, same. It is important to have it built out. Damage reduction goes to 60%, which is huge. Using him kind of as a support mage in a lot of these formations does work out incredibly well. Third one we look at is Gwen. Now, Gwen does require a little bit of a bigger build. 309, actually 68, I think is where I built her originally. So looking at the signature item, even looking here, the plus 30 does really well. If you can get to a plus 40 when no enemies are nearby, gains physical pierce, insight, and accuracy, which makes a big difference. But this isn't huge because the plus 20 signature item already does have a base of this. So again, where you want to build her really is evolving and really depends on the engraving factor. Adding in the level 4 right here, and of course right here, reduces the interval for the immunity damage reduction. This is really big. Not only that, when you think of a damage dealer, when you think of Gwen yourself, it is stats. The higher the stats, the higher she is going to perform, the better she is going to perform. That is the reason why, even though a plus 40 signature item is not required, it'll give her a little bit more of that physical pierce. It will also give her a lot of additional stats in here when you're building her out and really allowing her damage to scale. But that level 68 attack, physical pierce, crit, and that attack speed. So you're buffing up her speed, her crit, the amount of damage she's doing, and the attack rating definitely makes a really big difference. Now, when we start looking at the regular ones down here, which are Nyla and a couple other ones, the ones that are non-Highborn, again, 309.33 is all you need for Nyla. So the plus 30 signature item in here, again, making a pretty big difference. Every 10 seconds, more of those bubble seeds come up. 9 of 9 furniture, another one. Definitely well worth it. Power of Nyla's bolts permanently increased 2%, capped at 200%, which again allows Nyla to really do that damage. Engraving, we are doing 33 on here, so insight, you could do the 60, doesn't really have that huge of a difference, but overall, if you're looking to maximize the damage, it would be the 60 that you're going to build. Then we look at Melion. So Melion is the one where, again, kind of the support for the Draconic Heroes does make a pretty big difference when you're building him out. And of course, 20 signature item is really all you need. Plus 30 in here is, again, another one that is kind of nice to have. But overall, the plus 20 will do you well. 9 of 9 furniture, absolutely a requirement. You definitely want this. Target takes 36% more damage for 5 seconds. This is huge. Not only the damage that he does, but the Exemplar is really the one that is focused on here. And then the same with the 60 engraving. This is another one when the Exemplar deals damage, closer they are to the enemy in the same row, they are dealing more damage, which means, again, heroes like the Awakened version of Iran that is going right toe-to-toe, face-to-face, is going to make a big difference because you can increase the damage that they're doing if the Exemplar is Iran in that case, really amplifying the damage. Now, when you think about the other two, again, not really a big reason to build out Cassius or Polina, but overall, 209, really no engraving on there at all that is needed. Big thing with this one, plus 20 signature item, does pretty well because the normal attack does really scale with the max health. Furniture is the big one on here, which is the ability to negate some of the haste that they have on there. Also the energy recovery rate. But overall, again, short of that, Dragonforge not really being used at all. And it's the same with Polina. Nobody is building out Polina. Showed a little bit of promise upon release. 209.30 is really the base, and again, just getting a little bit of engraving on there for the fact of utilizing the hero in the Dragonforge, but overall, these heroes are not being used at all. So unfortunately, those two are kind of the ones that are going to be long forgotten. Now again, just to kind of recap, guys, looking at building Lan, then Hilduin, then Gwen. I know Gwen seems very cool. It's nice, it's shiny, she does a lot of damage. But overall, there's a lot of formations where players are just replacing Gwen because of the sheer cost to build, where Lan can fit in formations even without Gwen. Again, utility-wise, Lan making a big difference. For the very basic ones, Nyla and really Aemilion are the only two that you're going to build. Not really a big focus for anybody else in there. And of course, when it comes to the Dragon Isle in the Dragonforge itself, this is kind of the place where you build the Draconic Heroes. It is a super, super slow process to get the insignias and the scrolls out of here. But if you're going in here, this really is the only focus when it comes to being able to build the heroes out, and also getting the Dragonspeak emblems and the epic Dragonspeak emblems are really the big part that you can build these heroes out in their entirety. And of course, this whole entire game mode is based on your ability and your utility getting these heroes and building the heroes out. So it is kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy that if you're building out these Draconic Heroes, you can make further in the Dragon Isle. If you don't, you're not going to be able to go through the Dragonforge. If you can't go in the Dragonforge, you cannot build out the Draconic Heroes that we have. So, all right, guys, I hope it really helps to kind of make it clear as mud when it comes to the Draconic Heroes. But that is going to do it for today's video. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. And as always, thank you guys for watching.